Hey, friends and future authors. This is Lynn Liquidy back for another another episode or another live, I should say, of Ask Me Anything Q&A. If you are here today, hello, welcome, welcome. I see we have one person in the audience. That is super awesome. Hello and welcome. If you have any questions today, please put them in the comments below. So I will each week I'll come on at 9:05 Pacific time, 12:05 Eastern time, and I'll do a little 5-minute introductory lesson on some aspect of writing and publishing. It can be anything from technical things to like the emotional side of writing and publishing, right? Because we all know that writing and publishing is definitely has an emotional component or two or three or four. So today, what we're going to do, I'm doing my 5-minute workshop on is imposter syndrome, because this is a really big stumbling block for a lot of people. And any questions you have, please put in the comments below on this live. So let's talk about imposter syndrome for a few minutes. So imposter syndrome, what is it? So what it really means is that not that you're an imposter, but that people feel like they're not good enough to be an expert, or they feel like, oh, I shouldn't be talking about this. Who am I to talk about it? Now, there are a couple different ways to view this. One thing is that, okay, if you just took a course on something, you're obviously not an expert, right? Because I have seen people do that. One time I was at a workshop and this gentleman was trying to do was leading a workshop on Facebook and how to use it for your business. And we started asking him questions and he literally couldn't answer any of them. Now, when I do a workshop, I know what I'm talking about. And every once in a while, there is a question I can't answer, but typically not. I've never had given a workshop where one of the audience members asked me a question and I couldn't answer any of them. So that was a big red flag right there. And after the fifth or sixth question he couldn't answer, we were like, well, then what do you do on Facebook? And he said, well, I actually just attended a workshop on how to use Facebook this past weekend. And so I figured I would give this workshop to you guys. And so obviously that is not an expert. Hello, Rick. Thanks for joining. Please put any of your questions you have for Q&A, writing and publishing in the comment. Nothing is too short, easy, long, or sweet. So put what you have, any challenges you might be experiencing right now, or any other questions. So getting back to the imposter syndrome thing. So it's not like if you just took a course on something, obviously you're not an expert, right? So then definitely don't claim you're an expert if you just took a course. But a lot of people have decent amount of experience in their field. So if you have like 3, 4, 5 years experience, you are, and you're in the same field, you could definitely consider yourself an expert depending on how much you know, right? And how well you're entrenched in your vertical. And then you can say, hey, I'm an expert, right? So, but people suffer from this imposter syndrome. I mean, I know people who have been doing the same thing for 10, 15 years, and they're like, I don't know if I should talk on this. You've been doing the same thing for 10 or 15 years. You are definitely considered an expert, because there's very few people who stay in the same vertical for that long. So that means you're in the top probably 10% of people who know what they know in your field. So, and of course, there's all different levels and all different niches and different verticals. But a lot of people suffer from imposter syndrome needlessly because they just are scared to put themselves out there. So another great example of imposter syndrome is I have literally had 3 or 4 clients pay me to write an entire book or edit their entire book. And I've edited their book and it's great. And I tell them, this book is ready for press. Like, let's go put this on Amazon. And they just literally ghost me. And I don't take it personally. I know exactly why. And like literally a few weeks later, they'll tell me, oh, I just don't know if I want to publish this right now. It's imposter syndrome. They're scared to publish something, even though they've paid several $1,000s to have the work done. And you would think putting that type of investment into a project, you would follow through with it. But people are very scared and very fear oriented sometimes, especially when it comes to imposter syndrome. So don't let yourself fall prey to imposter syndrome. Here are some ways you can help yourself and support yourself in overcoming imposter syndrome. So number one, I say just go out and look at YouTube videos of other people in the same vertical as you. If you have the same ideas or better, then you know that you have a good base of knowledge. If you've been doing your thing for 10 years or more, almost guarantee you could be a expert in your field, right? Now, thought leader is different. Thought leader means you're coming up with new ideas in your field. And if you're a thought leader, you are definitely an expert in your field because you know your field enough that you are taking it to the next level and coming up with ideas that other people may not have come up with yet. So that's another aspect of it. Another aspect, another way you can overcome imposter syndrome is literally, this might sound funny, but it actually works. Literally look in the mirror, and it can be any mirror. I would say not a little mirror, like get at least one that covers your portrait headshot of space, so to speak, and say like, you are good. You're good at what you do, and pep talk yourself, right? Because doing that every day really helps change that mindset, because all imposter syndrome is your brain trying to thwart you in your professional efforts. Your brain's trying to tell you you're not good enough, and you are, but we all have that negative self-talk. And all that negative self-talk is stuff that's being reinforced over and over in our head. So if we can take that negative self-talk out of our head and we put positive self-talk in, then we can start to move forward and break free from that imposter syndrome. Because, my friends, imposter syndrome is a prison. Whether you know it or not, it is a prison, because anything that is in your head that is holding you back from doing what you want, your goals, what you love to do, or your passion, is you in your head stopping yourself. Most likely, 99% of the time, it's not someone else stopping you, right? We have a choice to do something new. We have a choice to think differently. We have a choice to change our mindset. So, yes, you can. I saw your comment, Rick. Yes, you can. Everybody has negative self talk. So, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, like, I feel like I'm the only person that's doing this and everybody else is the expert. No, I can also guarantee you that some of the biggest people on YouTube also have some level of imposter syndrome, right? Because there's all different levels, like everything else. Like, I even have it sometimes, like, oh man, should I be talking on this? And I do it anyway, because I'm like, you know what? Even if I'm not the top expert, I know something that I can share, and someone out there is going to get value from it. So think of it like that too, like reframing how you are approaching it, right? So if you are like, oh man, I don't know if anybody is going to know this. Did you know that fact, whatever it is that you were going to share, that topic when you first started out? Probably not, right? So at a minimum, you can help people who are starting out in whatever vertical that you're in. So think of it that way as well, right? So imposter syndrome doesn't have to be this thing that imprisons you. It doesn't have to, right? You're choosing to have the imposter syndrome. I know that sounds weird, but you are, because you're choosing not to do something different about it. And I know this because I grew up and this is kind of, it's related, but it's separate. So I grew up in a very abusive household, right? I had a lot of negative self-talk in my head. And when I started working on it as an adult, I knew I had to decide, am I going to stay with this negative self-talk in my head, or am I going to choose to be different? Am I going to choose to not let my past anchor me in my past, right? And because that's what it does. Negative self-talk in your head anchors you to the past, and it anchors you to to um to what's the word I'm looking for? Like when you're stuck in the same position and you just can't get out, right? It makes you immobile to move forward towards your goals. So when you have that negative self-talk in your head, all it's doing to you is stopping you from achieving your goals, right? And I'm pretty sure all of us out there want to achieve our goals. You just have to do the work to get past it. Doing the work to get past it is a whole nother thing. And it is hard, and it does take time, and it takes effort. But let me tell you, my friends, on the other side of that negative self-talk is your mind being free and clear. And oh my gosh, the clarity that I gained from doing all that work on myself is amazing. And it not only helps me just personally, but it also helps me in my work, because this year, because I've done so much work on myself personally, I was able to get a really clear vision of where I want to take my business. So anything you can do to personally help that negative self-talk in your head isn't only going to help you with, posting a YouTube video. It's going to help you in everyday life and help you move through your life with more confidence. So if you have any questions, please put them down in the chat. If not, I'm going to start wrapping this up with the last couple minutes. So to give you some advice on how you can move forward to take out the negative self-talk and relieve yourself from the imprisonment of imposter syndrome. So number one, give yourself grace, right? Don't start kicking yourself in the butt and being like, oh man, I can't believe I had imposter syndrome, I'm living this with years. This is never going to be better. You can make the choice now to make it better. It's better late than never, right? Better do it now than never at all, because regret is one thing you don't want in your life for sure. So give yourself some grace, do a little at a time. Pick one little fear that you have and flip the script around. So when you flip it around, instead of like, oh, I'm not good enough to talk on this subject, you could say, I am good enough to talk about the basics of this subject, right? Start small, start a bit the basics, right? Or I'm good enough to talk about this one thing that I know I talk about all the time to other people, and other people say, wow, this is really great information. Okay, so start small, pick one thing that you're going to flip the script on. And when you flip your script, verbiage is very, very specific, and be very careful with your verbiage, because your verbiage, when you put it out there, has a specific energy to it or a tone to it that your mind will pick up. So if you're saying, I'm not good enough to make this YouTube video on fill in the blank subject, instead of saying that, you're going to say, I'm good enough to talk about this subject on YouTube. I know I can do this. I'm confident in myself. What you don't want to say is, I know I'm not going to have imposter syndrome, because that's not sending you anywhere, right? That's not goal oriented. I don't know what you like when you say, I'm not going to have imposter syndrome, but what are you going to have, right? So that's why you want to be very specific when you are changing your mindset and changing the message in your head, to say that I am confident I can make this one video this week, and then make that one video and then post it out there. And then the next week, make another video, right? One of the things AI is great for is coming up with ideas for videos. So type in your vertical, say, I would like ideas on blah, 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 and be as specific as possible. And it'll come up with a list of ideas for you. So you don't even have to come up with the ideas, and just take that topic and bullet point 3 or 4 things and come on and do a live video. So if you do a live video on Substack, please tag me. I would love to see it, and I will put something in the comments. So Rick, thank you for joining me today. Thanks everybody else for joining the live this morning on Substack. And if you're on YouTube, thank you, thank you. Please make sure to get a hold of the freebie that I'm offering below. So I got my newsletter, and I also have a wonderful upcoming event. It's going to be a writer's retreat in September. It is a free writer's retreat, and it's virtual. So you don't even have to go anywhere, which is great, because that lowers your expense costs. Because I know as I go to conferences a lot and they can get expensive. So that's why I decided to offer this virtually in September. Your kids will be back in school. If you have little kids around, everything slows down in September. It's a great time to jump in on a Friday and come on in for our virtual retreat that's coming up in September. Thanks for joining me, Rick. I appreciate your time today, and I hope you got something out of this. Thank you, my friends of future authors on Substack and YouTube, for joining me as well. And I hope to see you next week for another live at 9:05 Pacific, 12:05 Eastern. Have a great week, y'all. And remember, make sure you start writing your book, because if you don't write your book, no one else is going to do it for you.